This is Answer Me That on Storm FM, sponsored by Bar Uno.
Hello and welcome to Answer Me That on Storm FM, your weekly source for useless information and the answers to questions you couldn't be bothered to Google. This week coming up, we're going to be asking when do you stop being a 90s kid, and why 90s fashions are so odd looking now, along with how can I maintain a good relationship, what's a thigh gap, what's the best way to rehydrate, and how can I help a friend who's having a difficult time at the moment, along with much, much more. As I've already said, and if you've been to our Facebook page, you would have seen we've been asking, when do you stop being a 90s kid? We're asking this because Sarah and I are having their 90s night, which is an awesome night, on the 10th of March. So this Tuesday, come in. If you haven't got tickets, then try and get them. I believe they're still available. And if you do go, it is a good night. Don't forget to dress up in 90s fashion.
This is Answer Me That on Storm FM. Send your questions to studio@stormfm.com, facebook.com/stormamt, or text STORM plus your message to 60300. Text charged at your standard network rate.
Don't forget, today we want to know, when do you think you stop being a 90s kid? To get in contact again, email studio@stormfm.com, text STORM plus your message to 60300, go to facebook.com/stormamt, or go to stormfm.com and use the nifty little form on our website. Text charged at your standard network rate. First question we're going to get on to today is, what is a thigh gap? This seems to be something discussed quite a lot on the internet of late, and basically it's the gap people want between their legs for some reason, between their thighs. They think that it's something which is attractive, and it really isn't. Basically, people who have it usually are malnourished, because people who try and diet to get rid of the cellulite and fat between their thighs and stuff, they don't realize that when you actually build up muscle, that is going to show as well. So people start starving themselves to get this little gap because they think it's attractive, and it's one of the big hot topics on things like pro-ana websites and stuff like that, which is pro-anorexia. So yeah, it's just one of these stupid things people think is attractive and want to do, and everyone wants to copy each other basically. If you have any sense, don't do it and just ignore it. I don't know a single person who actually thinks it's attractive or any good, so there you go. Our next question up is probably a good one for most people last night, because there seemed to be quite a few birthday parties and things like that, which is, what's the best way to rehydrate? Because lots of people in the gym tend to take water and stuff like that, or people who aren't up in the know and don't go very regularly. But it's actually more beneficial for you to have something like an isotonic drink, which is going to rehydrate you more. The same goes if you've drunk alcohol or been ill for a long time. This is going to replenish your body a lot quicker, mainly because there's stuff added to it which makes it better for your body to stay hydrated, whereas water can just go straight through you and is not going to help much. Same if you're just drinking pop or squash or something like that. What you want to do is just drink these isotonic drinks. You can get them for quite cheap in places like Morrison's and Asda's and Tesco's. So it's not as if you have to go out and buy the big brands to stay hydrated. So yeah, there's our second question. Next up, we're going to answer, how can I help a friend who's having a difficult time at the moment? We've had similar ones, if not the same one before, and the best way to do it basically is to take them out and preoccupy them, is to give them something to do and to reassure them that whatever is making their time difficult is either going to pass or you'll help them through it, and things like that. Just going out for a drink or a walk can be enough, or just talk nonsense. Quite a few times me and my friend have just gone over to Cafe Nero, bought a coffee and talked absolute nonsense for ages to one another, and it's made the day better, and yeah, it helps. So just try and give your friend a good time and reassure them that things will get better. And if they don't believe you, just preoccupy them with something fun. Next up, we're going to be playing Desireless by Eagle Eye Cherry, followed by A Minute Longer by Stereophonics. Don't forget, we want to hear from you today. When do you stop being a 90s kid? One person actually said you never stop, but I think if you were born after 2000, you definitely aren't a 90s kid. But I think she took it as, when do you stop being a kid? In which case, most people never stop. Trust me, I know.
This is Answer Me That on Storm FM. Send your questions to studio@stormfm.com, facebook.com/stormamt, or text Storm plus your message to 60300.
Before we get on to our next question, it has amused me lately that we've come up with things for the past few weeks, and then a week or two later is in the newspapers. So if you remember, I think it was last week we talked about Patreon campaigns, maybe the week before, and the day after it was all over the newspapers that Amanda Palmer has raised $13,000 per release in this crowdfunding way. Unfortunately, if she takes up something like YouTube or something, then some people are going to be broke, as she has, or at the time of writing of the article I'm reading in The Guardian, musician had 1,400 backers in 14 hours after launching her profile, and 2 of those backers said they would pay $1,000 every time she released a new song, video, or piece of writing. So if she takes up blogging or vlogging, they're going to be broke in no time. But yeah. Also, if you remember, just before Christmas we talked about the legislation surrounding quadcopters, and after Christmas that seems to have been in the news non-stop, and the House of Lords are now urging for compulsory even registration of all civilian drones, which means if you do have a quadcopter, you could potentially have to pay to have it registered to say you have it, even though you've had it for a while. But if that does go into legislation, let's be honest, we probably won't see it for at least 4 or 5 years. You watch, that'll be in the news next week. Anyway, don't forget, we want to know from you, when do you stop being a 90s kid? To get into contact, email studio@stormfm.com, text Storm plus your message to 60300, go to facebook.com/stormamt, go to answermethat.tk, or go to stormfm.com and use the nifty little form. Now, my dad's actually texted in for this one and said he's a 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s and noughties kid, because he's never grown up, and trust me, he's never likely to. My mum has always referred to him as a big kid, especially when it comes to planes, because he likes to follow them around and watch all the different displays. But anyway, on to our next question. Why is 90s fashions looking so odd now? Basically, it's because fashion changes. You look at any decade, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, they all look strange compared to some of the stuff people wear today. And if you went back in time and were looking on the future, you'd probably say that what we wear today is a bit odd looking. Fashions do change. Some things do go in rotation, and allegedly the hemline of a woman's skirt is an indication of the financial situation in the country at that time. Apparently, the shorter the hemline, the more money there is in the economy. Probably absolute nonsense, but that's one theory which is spouted a lot across the internet and in newspapers and on TV shows. So there you go. Next question is, what can I do that doesn't cost too much when it's raining? And the main answer to that is you've got in contact with us through the internet. That has a whole host of things you can do. I know it's sat in front of a computer, but you can learn to program, you can learn to knit, you can learn to do woodwork, you can learn all sorts on the internet. You can also start your own blog or vlog, you can write music. The possibilities are basically endless, but if you don't want to go down a technical route, well, I say that, but you could also learn non-technical stuff and watch YouTube videos on how to make this bit of furniture. But if you want to go down the less technical route, you can always take up something like knitting. You can, if you have a camera, you can start doing photography indoors. There's quite a few different things you can do with that, including playing with the lighting and making small objects look large and things like that. You could make videos. There's a lot you can do for very little money, but yeah, it's basically up to your imagination finding something that doesn't cost too much. It's like you used to get people always playing board games and being quite communal. Now everyone's off on the internet. You don't see the kids outside as much, like playing in the street and things, and when you do, they're usually hanging around in hoodies looking miserable, or going to their friends to play a game. So yeah, there's all sorts you could do, but it's up to your imagination, really. Our next question is, how do I manage a really big workload of essays and still feel like a person? That's probably something every student's had to deal with at some point, as well as many people in the industry. When you have a workload, it's all about trying to get a good schedule going and make sure that you get it done in time and know how to prioritize. It doesn't always have to be first in, first out, because you could get something that could need doing soon and it throws your whole schedule off, so you have to be able to be flexible with things and try timetabling stuff. It may sound stupid or a bit anal, but it does help a lot of people. There are some people with every aspect of their life timetable down to how many hours they sleep, and they get a bit upset if they don't follow it. So yeah, that's a bit far, but try and prioritize your time and organize it. Make sure you still have time to go out and socialize, and don't just hide away in a room doing loads of work, even if it's just watching the odd video on YouTube or talking to someone for half an hour or so. So you have that break. You have to remember not to work endlessly, because your brain will start turning to mush and you'll get bored and frustrated, and that's when things like depression start to set in, and you don't want to get depressed over a workload of essays. Again, going back to the last question, you could see what you can do indoors for very little money. But yeah, you have to organize your time. You have to make sure you have those breaks and make sure you stay hydrated. So have some isotonic drinks. See, it's all rolling in together today. Don't forget, today we want to know, when do you stop being a 90s kid? So far we've had you never stop being a 90s kid. And my dad claims to have been a kid since the 60s. But when do you stop being a 90s kid? There's a video on YouTube, which I've linked on the Facebook page. If you watch or listening to this after the fact, I'll put a link down in the description of where you can watch it. But there's a video of kids reacting to 90s music, and I think the eldest was born in like 95, 96, and they claimed like not to have listened to the music and not to have known it, and it's quite interesting to watch. So when are you a 90s kid, as in part of the social movement, the music, everything at the time, and when's your cut off?
You're listening to Answer Me That on Storm FM. Don't forget to send your questions to facebook.com/StormAMT.
Don't forget, we want to know, when do you stop being a 90s kid? Email studio@stormfm.com, text Storm plus your message to 60300, go to facebook.com/StormAMT, go to answermethat.tk, or go to stormfm.com and use the nifty little form on our website. Text charge at your standard network rate. Anyway, back to our questions for now. How do I handle nerves while waiting for my exam results? Now, we've had this one for a while, but we haven't been able to answer it because of all the others we've had on and all the other stuff we've had to do outside of the show as well. And the best way to handle nerves whilst waiting for your exam results is to try and not to worry about it. Easier said than done, I know, but with trying to help someone with their relationship and stuff like that, you need to try and preoccupy your mind a bit and go out and carry on with your life, because if you just sat there waiting and biting your nails, then it's not going to do any good for anybody, specifically you. It's just going to waste your time and make you stressed and depressed and nervous. And so yeah, it's trying to think about other